you to all things offer loving. You're on mute.
How are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, good, good. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. So, what we're going to start off with is what inspired you to start your business?
Oh goodness. Okay, so what's it inspired me to start my business? So it kind of just started back when I was in like early in my middle school years. It was kind of just a getaway. I live in Philadelphia, and it wasn't like the easiest time. So kind of just getting into the fashion industry was just something that I kind of played with a little bit. It wasn't until I got into my senior year of high school when I made my prom date's prom dress. Because we were just trying to figure out what she was going to be wearing. It was my prom, so I kind of already had an idea of what I was wearing, but I just didn't necessarily know what my prom date was going to be wearing. So I created it, and her dress matched my suit jacket, and we walked away with a trophy for most unique couple, which was pretty fun for prom. And then after that, early in my high school years, I was kind of like dibbling and dabbling in musical theater. I originally wanted to go to school for theater, so that's kind of where, like, my heart and my love for the theater kind of comes from. But it wasn't until I just kind of found myself doing more sewing and designing and things of that nature, rather than going on auditions and things of that nature. So it kind of peaked from there. I started my college program at the Art Institute of Philadelphia. Something really small, but it granted me the opportunity to learn more and join Oscar de la Renta, which is where I kind of created my background for everything evening wear and luxury and things of that nature. So yeah, it's been a long career. I've been doing it for the past 10 years, and it's consistently growing. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago when I kind of develop a following for for fashion in the opera community. I'm working with opera singers such as uh, keynote speaker Angel Joy Blue, as well as Karen Slack, to kind of name a few. So kind of that's kind of where I jumped into the opera scene, things of that.
So we started our business in 2016. Basically, the passion for it started off with shoes. So for our commencement graduation from Westminster Choir College in 2013, we were told that we were not allowed to decorate our caps. And Cherissia and I were like, we want to bling down the aisle and look fabulous because
Plus we were the only one of like 5 Black people, so
right,
everybody wanted to see us.
So we wanted these beautiful Swarovski crystal shoes. They look like these are actually the ones we wore at our graduation. We were just like, we want to bling down the aisle. And when we looked at the shoes, they were $3,000. And I was just like, we don't have $3,000, but we're going to figure out how we can get a hold of these shoes. So we did a lot of research, figured out how to make it ourselves. And we did that. We blinged down the aisle and everyone literally could spot you a mile away. And so we didn't start making it a business until 2016 when we were a part of the Opera Diva dress collection and people saw our shoes. They wanted to wear it to their recitals, any other performances or weddings. So that's how we started with the shoes. How we started with the mouth mask was we were traveling for a gig in the South actually, and we were on a plane and this lady goes, "I'm praying for you, God bless you." So we're thinking to ourselves like, thank you.
We were wearing the disposable surgical mask.
And so she says, "Oh, what stage are you?" In our minds,
We're thinking like what stage, because we had just came from a gig. So we're like, oh, you know, we were singing at, and so we told her we were singing. She's like, "No, what stage cancer do you have?" And we're like, "We don't have cancer." And
we're
like,
not
so
terminally ill at all.
So she was like, well, why are you wearing a mask? And we're just like, well, because we don't want to catch any germs and we don't want to get sick.
And on the plane, we would constantly get weird stares and people would be afraid to touch us or be afraid to sit next to us on a plane. And so I said to Cherissia, I was like, I just wish there was a mask that says, "I'm not actually sick. I'm an opera singer. No, I will not sing for you," because that was always the next question. It's like, "Oh, you're an opera singer? Can you sing for me?" It's like, no. So my sister was like, "Why don't we just make them?" And so we try to get a manufacturer in New York, because
in the
from
fashion
New York.
district.
That
it was
was
a failure. They did not believe in our vision at all. And then us being two Black women, it was a journey. We ended up getting a manufacturer in London, and that's how we started. Sat on inventory for a year. This is pre-COVID. And then the amazing Brandy Sutton bought a mask without any discounts, wore it once on Instagram, and it literally went viral. And that was in 2018.
That's amazing, ladies and gent. Come on. I love my mask. And look at you already ahead of your time. COVID, everybody wearing a mask. Now they looking for you. How can you design this mask for me? That's amazing. And Michael, I can't wait till you get my dress size, Pooh. Okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay? Hey guys.
Yes, yes.
My name is Aundi Marie Moore, and I'm a realtor, one of the top producing realtors in the state of Maryland. However, I'm licensed in DC and Virginia. And I started this business, to be honest, it was kind of put on me because of the opera crash in 2008. When the market crashed, and when I say market, the stock market crashed in 2008. Opera and entertainment fields in general, for the most part, were at a halt. But opera definitely was. They weren't hiring anyone, and it was just awful. And I had just finished my young artist program. I was newly married, and my husband, in the most sweetest, loving way he could say, was, "You need a job, girl. You need to do something, because I can't take care of that hip." And I was like, oh, for real. So, because I loved looking at houses, I was always on HGTV watching my first home. At the time, I had not owned my home yet. I loved looking at it. He said, "Why don't you think about real estate?" Because he was in investing. He was an investor. He wasn't a realtor, but he was an investor. He would buy houses, flip them, sell them, and that's something that he would do. So I went into real estate school kicking and screaming. He paid for it. Let me tell you, he paid for it, because I was like, I'm not paying not one dime to this. And he paid for real estate school for me, and I went into it. And as soon as I finished and got my license, opera started coming around again. And once it started coming around again, I was working, but then the jobs became too far and few between, and I couldn't sustain the type of life that I wanted for myself, a life that I could, be able to pay my bills monthly and be comfortable. Let me just say that. So I decided to go ahead and do real estate part-time. And I also was a professor at Lincoln University part-time. I was an adjunct professor. And once I realized that there was no glass ceiling in making money in real estate, I was like, okay, she needs to put some real energy in it. And I wasn't getting hired. I was just kind of sitting around, sort of like I'm doing right now with COVID happening. I was just sitting around kind of twiddling my thumbs. So I said, let me put my all in it. And I created this business. And now I've been in this business for a little over 11 years now. I think this is coming up to my 12th year. And I have a team of agents that work with me. I have, I'm with a fantastic brokerage, and a broker that supports me and also loves that I sing and travel. And I realized that it gave me the opportunity to kind of leave, because I have team members, and go sing and come back. So that was the start. And now I also have started No More Starving Artists, because I want to encourage other artists to not only perform, but also think of other streams of income. Because just like Beyonce, just like J-Lo, just like all these big stars that we admire and love, honey, they are doing other stuff. They just not singing, dancing, and acting, poo-poo. They are actually selling products. They are actually being spokespeople for companies and advertisement. So with all these gifts that God has given us, we can actually use them to really spread and make money and have a multiple stream of income. Opera, don't get me wrong, I love opera, but sometimes she don't pay. And I love her, but sometimes she doesn't pay. And when she don't pay, mama gotta eat, and I have two kids who look to me and they like, what we doing, girl? Because they just not used to beans and franks. So we got to figure this out. So that's how I got into it. I'm passionate about helping mentor um, other artists and independent contractors and encourage them and plant the seed of being able to have a multi-income, multi streams of income. And thanks for having me, Renee.
No problem. Thank you for coming. I love the Financial Fridays. I love everything y'all said about like being able to like just sustain your livelihood and having passion behind the businesses that you own is just so important. I want to talk a little bit about how you balance studying opera and owning this business because I'm at that crossroads where I'm doing Black Women in Opera, but I need a real job, and then I'm studying like I'm doing a role study right now. So it's a lot of things going on at one time. How do you balance that? And for Michael, you can talk a little bit about how you balance different areas of your life as well.
Did you go? Would you like to go first? Oh, I can go first. Okay, so it's for me. It was a little difficult, to be honest with you. Just trying to balance. I do work in a custom realm, so it's kind of more so. Um, it's made to order. We have to sit down. We have to create a consultation. We have to go through fittings and things of that nature, and that can be difficult for me as well as for my client. And just trying to battle between because I work a daytime job as well. I still work in the retail, like in the fashion industry, but I work in retail. And so just being able to try not to merge the two and being able to kind of find a sense of balance between the two it's kind of like tough for me. But pulling through, and I think what made it easier is because I'm in retail, in clothing, so it kind of helps to kind of put the two in the same perspective. But it can get tough. Time management, things of that nature. Right now, all we have is nothing but time. And so it's just trying to being able to kind of manage it a little better. That was one of my biggest faults when I first started my career. It's just like sometimes I'm like, should I go out and do this little turn up, or should I stay at home and finish the seam so that my client can have this dress by the time that she needs it for? So it's just like for me now, just like creating a good balance within my personal life as far as my business, and that Michael Thomas Originals, and being able to kind of work in the retail to kind of help to Aundi was talking about just having other sources of income, and within me working in retail, that if I don't work there, then I realize, okay, I can't put a little more extra pizzazz into my garments. I can't make it as luxurious as I want it to be because I don't necessarily have the other funds to do such. And then for me, I like to do a lot of pro bono work within people who, they want to be able to get a garment made, but they don't necessarily have the resources or the funds to do such. I want to be able to do that for people. So those other resources, other sources of income are good for me, so that I can kind of balance that and I kind of work together. So it it can be like it can be a double-edged sword sometimes, trying to work and have a personal life, well, doing my business and being able to kind of have the personal life. But I realize they kind of they connect to each other somehow, some way. So yeah.
Yes, time management is key. I would say for me personally, if it's not in my planner and if it's not in my phone, I will not be there. So whether it's my voice lesson, my coaching, a rehearsal, I make sure that my life is literally planned to the T. I know some people don't like writing things down, or they don't like to have such an organized schedule, but that's the only way I would be able to balance everything that I do. I know that for a singing perspective, I make sure that I warm my voice up every single morning. I teach preschool. I'm at preschool at 7:30 in the morning, and I get out at 4. So I make sure that my voice is already warmed up, so that way when I get out at 4, I don't have an excuse as to why I can't practice or why I can't look at some music. And keep in mind that practicing is not only singing. You have text to learn, you have language to go over, you have some rhythms to go over. Part of being the whole musician is getting the whole package and not just the voice. Yes, the voice is very important, of course it is. But we know that our brain, the way it works as singers, is that you will always get that melody. But will you get that rhythm? Will you get that diction? No. So I make sure that that is also on top of the line. And I try to avoid making excuses. I have my lessons after work, and a lot of the times, the weekends, those are like my big practice days.
And like Cherisse, I also work full-time, but my job is more of a 9 till whenever. And I say that because I'm the director of amateur licensing for Broadway, and the show must always go on. So you will see me doing contracts, whether it's on the go. I do have a little bit of flexibility. Like, I have a great boss that understands what I do. But use your PTO days. Those of you that work full-time, I am very strategic about how I take my PTO days. So I'm allotted 22 plus 4 comp days. So I have about a month's worth of vacation. And if I know that there is a young artist program that I really want to do, I'm not going to take a whole bunch of PTO days in the beginning of the year when I could just save them for, you know, the 2 weeks that I need off, or any way that I could like save my schedule so that I can utilize those days as well as my sick days. I think the biggest takeaway that I have with balancing my life is sacrifice, because I unfortunately do not get to practice or go to lessons. Like, my weekends are used for my singing because during the week I'm working a full-time job. And sometimes on weekends, I also have to work. I also travel a lot for work. I attend every single theater conference in the United States as well as Europe. But with the perks of that, if I know I have a trip in London, I purposely always tag on a trip to Germany to see what I can audition for. I will contact an agent there and be like, hi, I'm going to be in London for this week. Would it be possible for me to sing for you? Or I find a teacher that is abroad and I'm like, hi, I'm only going to be in Germany for these, literally it's a weekend trip, and I make it work. Like, it's possible. If where there's a will, there's a way.
So let me just say, you guys, with starting a business or having a business, period, you can't do it all by yourself. I have, like I said, a team. And when I started, I didn't have a lot of money to be able to hire some of the people that I have now. But when I started, the first start was having a cleaning lady. I mean, think as small as that. You are your corporation. You are the head. You are the CEO. So I could not function if my house is a hot mess. If it's in a disarray, honey, she can't even think straight. So I hired a cleaning lady. That was my first hire. Then I hired a lawn person, because a lawn maintenance man, I love him. He comes and makes my yard look gorgeous, because my husband has terrible allergies and I can't stand people sniffling, snotting, and snitching right around me and snatching, because I'm a singer. And then it makes me think something wrong with you. So with him, I'll be like, you got to sleep in another room. So we hired a lawn person. So that was my second hire. So let me just tell you, you have to start removing things off of your plate. How do I balance it all? I have people to help me. Now, there's some things that I cannot have anyone to help me, especially with, getting my music together, learning. I do still have my voice lessons every week and I schedule it. I do have a fantastic coach and voice teacher that I see every single week, even through COVID. I see them virtually. And they take me all because they love me so much. And I'm so blessed for Janice, who's my voice teacher, and Susan, who's one of my coaches. They will schedule all kind of ways just to fit me in because they know, my schedule is all crazy. And I'm so grateful for them, but I see them every week. I have an acting coach. I don't see her every week. I see her once or twice a month or every other month, just if I have like another, because I'm starting to get into more musical theater and straight theater and TV work. I'm starting to get into those kind of things. So I needed a coach to teach me, an acting coach to really teach me what I don't know. Because an opera is different when you're on, on the live stage compared to being being in front of a camera. And to be honest, all of us need to think about getting some sort of acting coaches to help us to be in front of cameras, because from here on out, no matter how normal we might get back, this is going to be our normal. So I want to make sure I drop that seed for you guys, that you have to learn how to really be in front of a camera. Whether you like it or not, learn how to do it so that at least you'll have the knowledge, and so you can make a decision about if this is what you want to do. I do have a nanny au pair. She lives with me. Now, did I know COVID was about to happen? No, sugar, but I'm so glad that God knew and was like, you need a nanny, because you can't do this by yourself, little girl. You want to sing at the Met, you want to sell a house over here, you want to sell some hair over here. You need some help, sugar. And I was like, thank you, Jesus, for coming and telling me that I need some help. So I got myself a nanny, an au pair, and I love her just like she's my own daughter. She's a grown daughter, but I love her just like she's mine, and she's become a part of my family. And this is now year 2 that she's been with me. So when it comes to my kids, I feel safe and comfortable who my children are with, because if they're not safe, then mommy can't concentrate. So that's something else that I realized that I needed. And for you parents out there, I couldn't afford an au pair right off the bat. Let me be honest. I couldn't afford a nanny right off the bat. So I found a daycare provider who would love my children like I do and had give me some sort of flexibility. So you have to find people who not only you love and care for, but that they're going to give you the flexibility that you need. A lot of times in our business and having balance is a lot of give and take. And I try my best to give, especially to those who help me. So that's important that you know that. So whatever you're doing, like for instance, when Christmas time comes around and you've been getting your hair cut or hair done by the same barber or hairstylist, put something in their hand, because sometimes they have rearranged their schedule just for you. Or, the people who service you, make sure you put something in their hand, because they will do things. Michael Thomas, I'm sure Michael has bent over backwards, was like, okay, let me do my retail hours and then I'm gonna go home because I know she needs this dress by tomorrow, and her hips called me just 2 days ago. I'm gonna be out here sewing. You better put a little extra in his hand, because he gonna get it right for you. So when people take the time to do that extra, make sure that you're not taking it for granted, because that's the thing that I think people lack. They don't know how to just say, here's an extra $20 or here's an extra 50. I don't know what you went through to do what you did or to get this done, but I appreciate you. And that's how I feel that my business has grown tremendously, because I do that to those that I hire, but those that I hire are more like family for me. So I try to put everybody like tight niche for me. Balance, I'm still working on it. I don't have it all. Some days are better than others, but I know that I start my day with meditation, because if I don't have God centering in my belly, in my mind, in my spirit, it makes it very challenging for me to not, it makes it challenging, because sometimes when you're in customer service, folks gonna sometimes talk to you all kind of ways. And you have to be like, oh, okay, Mrs. Jones, I will do my best to blah, blah, blah. Because if they don't, if I don't have Jesus and have that meditation, it wouldn't go like that. Me and Mrs. Jones would have an issue. So I start with meditation. I also make sure that I set times out for my kids, just me and mommy time. I don't always get it right, but I make sure I do that because they are important to me. And my husband is also an entrepreneur as well. He has multiple businesses. So we have to try to build time in for ourselves. Does it always work? Nope. But I'm grateful that I have breath in my body, that the next day I have a second chance to get it better. So that's what you have to think about, you guys. Make sure that if you don't get it right the first time today, then wake up tomorrow and try again. If that's what balance is, just trying over and trying different things. It's not going to always work out. But I want to encourage you, if you can, get some help, because it does not serve you or your business if you continually try to do everything yourself. You'll make more money when you have help, because you have peace of mind that these other things, other personal things, are taken care of. Okay.
That was, I mean, fast collection play, because that was good. Okay. I love it. I love it. I love how when I'm hearing you all talk, you're just kind of really creating the life that you want, and you're doing the things that are necessary to make that life possible. And some of that stuff is not as fun or as great as we imagined our life to be, but it is necessary to be the person that you want to be. So I love that. That is encouraging to me. And we're going to talk a little bit. Aundi touched on it a lot when she was talking about just like how do you create boundaries and things that are helpful for you creating a business. So she talked about having a support system. She talked about building in time for herself. Are there any other points that you would like to emphasize?
I would definitely say you are the person creating and defining success. Because I think
Absolutely.
oftentimes we look at what other people are doing, or we're saying, oh, well, I haven't reached this level of success. And if you keep dwelling on that, your business will suffer and you as a person will suffer. And so something you just have to have the mindset of, if I have a business, the goal is to keep singing. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about being a multifaceted person. People automatically assume like, oh, well, this person's not a serious singer.
Or you're not a real singer because you're working a full-time job. But nobody tells an author that they're not a real writer because they're still writing their book. They're still an author.
Right.
So you have to have that same mindset when it comes to yourself. Like, even if you don't decide to pursue a business, like all of you, whether you know it or not, are a business. Being a singer is a business. You are your own brand. So you have to market yourself. You're controlling your own finances. Like, you are a business. So as long as you keep it in that mindset, you can accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish.
And we all make it look easy owning a business, but it is not easy. It's not a walk in the park. It's really hard.
Success does not happen overnight. As we've said several times, we sat on inventory for a whole year. A $10,000 investment sat in our basement for an entire year. And we're like, God, like, is this part of the plan? Like, nobody could see the vision, but we did. And like I said on Faithful Friday yesterday, sometimes God gives you a vision that nobody else can see, but it's not meant for them to see. Only you can see what the outcome of it is going to be. So you have to keep on your path and just know that everything works together for good. And just believe in that, and you're going to do well. Like, you have to know that you're going to be fine.
And the end goal is to continue singing. And honestly, even if I feel like with our business, we're contributing both on and off the stage. So whether we're helping people outside of the industry or people who aren't singers or whatever the case may be, the fact that we're still singers, we're still contributing, and we can get the money to be patrons and purchase tickets and see our friends. So even if we're not the ones front and center on that stage, at the end of the day, I'm still on the back end.
Absolutely. I can say a few things just to kind of piggyback off of you ladies are saying a lot of good things. And it's just as far as me for fashion is concerned, for me, it was just mostly just knowing exactly what I was getting into before I got into it. doing my research, knowing exactly how much money I'm going to have to put into it, how much time I'm going to have to put into it, how much effort, and just being consistent. Right now, we're like literally in an era where um, we really don't know what the tomorrow is going to bring, and we're in like an instant era. Everybody's getting into, TikToks and things of that nature. And so for me, I realized with my a lot of the garments that I make are very very visual. So just keeping a consistent keeping consistent on social media and things of that nature is one thing that I can kind of like give advice to those who are in a space where, let's such as myself, where I'm up and coming, and then I have a particular colleague who might just be a little further in the industry than I am. Just by me just taking a little time to kind of keep consistent and posting and every little thing that I'm doing, talking about what's going on, talking about events that are coming up, just kind of keeping people in tune on what I'm doing. It helps a lot within the brands. It helps a lot within you, because you're constantly posting and you're constantly keeping that out there. You might not necessarily have the money to find a marketing team or things of that nature, but you can utilize all those resources in the palm of your own hand. So utilizing all of these resources such as Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, even are good ways to kind of keep your business moving forward and progressing and showing people that you're out there and you're available and that you are an artist and you are, you have something to offer as well. So yeah, those amazing things.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful statement. So, can we talk a little bit about lessons? Like, what have been your greatest lessons or challenges while you're running your business?
Let me tell you, one of my greatest lesson is, let me tell you what happened. I took a listing in real estate. I took a listing, and the listing was over an hour from my home. I took the listing, one, because a friend referred me to this client, and there's these electrical lock boxes that we use that every agent has a special code or key to get into the houses. So unfortunately, my um, seller, the owner, got locked out of their house. You can also access this lockbox code with your phone. Because I lived over an hour away, I gave her my special code for that lockbox. And it got jammed, and I called the service company on myself. I called them, I didn't know I was calling on myself, but I called them and said, oh, my seller's outside, the lockbox is jammed. And what they did was that they said that was illegal to give the seller this special key and lockbox, and it cost me losing all of my lockbox privileges, that I had to write a letter and go to the board of our branch. This happened to me about a year and a half ago. Write a letter, go to the board, and explain myself of why I did what I did. And not only did my broker stand beside me to say she is not this type of agent that would just give her keys or lockbox, information away, but it really showed me that if something is too far, if it doesn't make enough money, if it is not worth your time, don't take it. What that really showed me, now they gave me mercy because I had no offenses prior. So they gave me mercy, but it really made me realize that if it's going to put me in the hole, if it's too far for me to go, if I cannot give my best all the time to that particular deal, client, that theater gig, if I can't do my best, don't take the gig, don't take the job, because you want to have excellence over you at all times, especially if you're Black. Let me just say that again, especially if you're Black. We are going through Black Lives Matter right now because that they don't look at us as excellence. And some of us, unfortunately, have to over compensate for some of our colleagues and Black folks who just don't do right. But it ain't just that they don't do right. White folks don't do right either. Let's be real. But for us, it seems that we ought to always be better, greater, jump higher, sing better, be slimmer, be lighter, be darker, have long hair, short hair. We have to always be the best. And so one big thing I learned is if I can't do my job effectively, don't take the job. Don't take the money, because it's not worth it at the end of the day. It's not worth your reputation. It's not worth the headache and heartache that you will go through with these types of things. And that particular experience really just hit home for me for everything. And I'm dealing with something right now with my own house, my backyard. I'm creating an oasis since we've been here in COVID. And I hired a Black structural engineer woman. I had never met a Black structural engineer, and that she was a woman. Never met one. I always knew a bunch of old white men. And things are not going the way that I think that they should go. And so she and I had to have a talk. And I'm not going to give a bad review on her, because this is lessons that she has to learn as well. We all, when we're starting businesses, because this is her first year in business, when we're all in business, you have these things, but make sure that you are always honest. Don't lie to the client, no matter how bad it looks, no matter how bad the situation is. Go through it, put your big girl drawers on or your big boy pants on, and go and tell the clients or the intendant, you know what, I'm not prepared like I need to be. I need a little bit more time. Or this is what's happening. I need this, X, Y, and Z. It's easier for people to stomach what you're about to say and tell them and be able to make a plan, instead of you lying and tripping over yourself over and over and over again. You have to man up in your business. You have to woman up in your business. So whatever mistakes you may make, because you're going to make them, you will. I made so many mistakes, especially as a new real estate agent. And we're dealing with big money, big dollars, people's dreams. I made mistakes, and you pay for them. Sometimes those mistakes are costly. It will cost you money, but you learn from them and grow. But that was one of the biggest mistakes I made, by taking something that was really too far for me as far as traveling, for me to be able to handle the listing well. So that's what I want to just share with you guys. Just try your best to stay in your
Yes.
what you're doing.
I would say some of the mistakes that I've made, and that's a great good point, Andy. It's just I learned that straightforward when I first came into the industry. I always wanted to take on so many clients. I always wanted to do, because I thought that was going to build my name. If I had I had a lot of clients, I thought straight on that was going to build me. But it became so overwhelming, and it was like, it became tough for me. And then I realized, okay, my mentor, her name is Valerie. She works at a fabric store here in Philadelphia. And she said, Michael, it's okay to say no. Period. It's okay to say no. You might lose clientele. You might lose a friend. You might lose, you might have a riffraff with a family member, but it's okay to say no. Because if they understand like why you said no, then they understand your worth. And another thing that I want to add on to that, in knowing your worth, is just about creating security for yourself. We're all in the business. We all are coming into a situation, and I know a lot of people around the time of COVID, they started to open up their own business. Everybody now, we're seeing a lot of Black-owned businesses opening up, and a lot of people are doing that now, and I'm all proud of that. But one thing that I want to kind of just say as far as that is just have a sense of security for yourself. A lot of people build businesses and they don't necessarily have a sense of like income off to the side just in case purposes. I know a point in my career where I was working on a garment for a client, and just for some reason it just wasn't, the communication wasn't working well, the dynamic together wasn't necessarily working well, and wound up the garment wound up not fitting properly, and so we had to go through the process of her asking for her money back. With me working in retail and me having other dresses to work on, I didn't have that other security, that back end security for me to be able to go into and be like, okay, I have to give you your money back. Here it is. I had to then go from taking money from another client, robbing Peter to pay Paul, taking client money from another client, taking money from my work, and I'm literally trying to play catch up at the end of the day because I didn't necessarily have that security to be able to, to do those things. So it's a lot of things you never know, especially with these times that we're going through right now in COVID. I was in the peak of my season, which was prom season, and to be told no clients are coming my way, how am I going to make money? I didn't necessarily have that side and that side in the security to be able to kind of get my way through it. You know what I mean? It was a point in which I was thinking I was going to have to go into a different profession because, as we said before, this is the new normal. I'm a custom designer. Everything is one-on-one, face-to-face. How do I go about, continuing my brand without that? So it was just like trying to rework myself and understanding, even down to like with us doing freelance and things of that nature and doing what we're doing right now. There's no freelance insurance out there. There's no way for us to be able to kind of life insurance out there for us. So it's just to be able to kind of just put money, even if it's like $20 or $50 each garment that you sell, just as for security purposes, so that you don't have to run into the risk of having to fall behind on certain things or certain garments or payments and things of that nature. You have things in your pocket so that you can move forward with your brand, because it definitely can harm you and it can hurt you if you don't, like I said in the beginning, know exactly what you're getting into and know exactly those key things that you need in your brand to be able to kind of move forward.
I would say one of the things that we've learned with going into business for ourselves is definitely knowing who to have on your team. In the beginning, we had friends that did not believe in any part of our business, whether it was the shoes or the mouth mask, and we kind of let their thoughts fester into ours, which I feel like we would have probably been more successful in certain aspects if we didn't really listen to the opinions of others, or even your legal team, like whoever you decide to do your trademark or your website maintenance, just like any little details like that, like whoever you're paying, because you're paying these people, need to believe in you as much as you're believing in yourself. Oh, our sound's going up. So I would say that the biggest lesson we learned was to really trust our gut. And if something is going off or you feel a bad sense about something, trust it because it's usually right.
And definitely, I would say anyone who's thinking about opening a business, the first thing you need to have that's imperative is a business plan. Your business plan should be what you hope within the next 6 months, a year, even 5 years out. Because without that roadmap, you will not be successful. And, we had no idea how to start a business. We really did not know anything about.
And we did try contacting people that we did know have successful businesses, but people are a little tight-lipped when it comes to when they think that you're taking their shine for whatever reason. But my thing is, if you walk down the bread aisle or the toilet paper aisle, there's a plethora of brands to choose from, and all of them are selling. So it's like what I'm choosing to do that might be similar to you shouldn't affect how you operate your business. So I would just encourage anybody, like the resources are out there. Definitely do your research because you can really be ripped off.
Seriously.
We have had experiences where we were ripped off by lawyers, legal fees. I think society has it that you just put a website together and now you have a business. That's not how that works. You need a trademark if you have a specific logo that it is that you want to be marketing your materials on. You might need a patent depending on whatever it is that you're creating your business. Copyright.
And the thing is, we always tell people, the twins are prayed up and lawyered up. So we make sure that anything that we're doing, whether it's singing related or with our business, it goes through our legal team 1,000%. And I think your mind will thank you, and your heart and your money will thank you once it's going in the right places. And, to be honest, in order to start a business, you do need money to start it. People will say, oh, go to a bank. Cherisse and I have tried that when we first started. And honestly, thank God we didn't go through that avenue, because people don't tell you about loans and the APR rates for those. And, being able to say that all that money that you invested came from yourself is a great accomplishment. And even if you choose to get investors, you have to be careful of the people who are investing in you, because at any
some
given
people
point,
just see dollar signs and then want to steal your idea and just take it away from you. And you just have to be so careful. There are a lot of predators in the business world, but you have to know what's best for you. And another thing is invest in yourself. If you want to really be a business owner, learn about business. We have a whole PDF with some resources that we'll share. But really, like, we took the initiative to go out and actually learn. If you can't afford a lawyer, go to your local colleges that have law schools. Those kids need experience. They need something to put on their resume. They will gladly look at a document for you for free. Same with accounting. Google search the accounting schools and see who can sit with you. I recommend going to the chair of the department, because usually they're more knowledgeable. Most of them have the actual JDs attached to their name. So they do know, and they are more than willing to help. We had to do that in the beginning because we did not have a lot of money to start with, but we really saved up our coins. And another thing about finances, one of my favorite sayings is, we love to secure the bag, but you cannot secure the bag with a hole in the bag. And what I mean about that is, you have to really be, if you cannot secure your own finances and you can't manage money and your personal finances, you're not going to be a successful business owner. Because starting out, you are going to be the accounting department, your marketing, you are customer service, you are going to be everything. So if you're, and it starts with finances. If you can't manage money now,
you're going to have a really hard time as a business owner. And in addition to that, you have to keep in mind that the money that you're putting out needs to be worth it. You need to get an investment on that return. So, you have to be so mindful of that and just, ask questions. I think in the beginning, Cherisse and I, we always kept asking questions, and sometimes we felt embarrassed asking other people, because sometimes it would help us, but honestly, what is the worst that can happen? It's just them saying no. It's the same thing with building clientele, just the same thing with trying to sell and market your product. People will say no, but guess what? The people who believe in you, they will find you. You just have to keep trying.
The last thing I want to piggyback on you guys is that when starting a business, just know it's going to take at least 2 years to get in the black. Okay, so you heard the twins say that they sat on their stuff for a year because they were trying to still figure out what to do next. I have another business that I'm working on, and I've been sitting on this thing, but I've been sitting on it, but I'm still trying to figure it out. So it takes at least 2 years, and it's not because we're slow at it or anything. It's just you're going to be working harder than you've ever worked for anyone else. When you start a business, you're going to work more hours, more time, more energy than anything else. And you still have probably other obligations that you have to meet with, just another job or family or whatever. So just know that it takes at least 2 years to get in the black. COVID-19 has sped it up for a lot of us. I feel right now I'm more busy than I've ever been, but it's because I feel like I'm working a new business and now trying to figure out how to get in the black with this new business. And the new business is doing all these panels and video this and video chat that and the TV this and TV. You have to figure it out. So just to encourage you guys, yes, a business takes time, but more so it's going to take you at least 2 years to get in the black. Okay, meaning that you're not going to be in debt and that you will start making money, because you'll feel like you're just spending and not getting ahead. Okay,
and most businesses fail within the first 5 years. So keep that in mind too, because it could take you up to 5 years to just really get the ground working on it and just really feeling secure and that you're actually making money in your business. So don't give up, just keep working at it and just keep going.
Yes, I love that. I have one question. So, from Autumn says, has anyone here, did y'all go to music school? Like, what schools did y'all go to? And yeah. are you still auditioning?
So for undergrad, we went to Westminster Choir College. For my master's, I went to Ithaca and then joined her at Manhattan School of Music for a professional studies certificate in opera.
I did my master's at Manhattan School of Music and, like she said, professional studies. Yes, we are still auditioning. That is a bit of a journey, as I'm sure all of you know all too well. Again, like I tell people, utilize those PTO days, those lunch breaks come in clutch. Conveniently, my office is located 2 blocks away from Opera America, so I navigate that lunch break very well. And I'm like, I will be back in an hour. You don't have to tell them where you're going for. I mean, my job's cool like that. They don't care what I'm doing, but you don't have to tell your employer. You could be eating lunch at McDonald's for all they know, but you just need that hour to yourself.
And for anyone who's in the education realm, especially K through 12, keep in mind that we have several holidays. You have a whole entire summer off. So whatever gigs that I choose to do or audition for, I make sure that it's always around a time that I am off for a significant amount of time. If I have to audition, I always tend to pick the audition days that are mostly on the weekend or on Fridays, because I get off early on Fridays at my preschool. And my preschool has been extremely supportive with my singing career. They know that my preschool is a job to support my career, which is singing.
And also, don't feel bad that you're working. If you have to work full-time, look, nobody in these audition panels care that you are working full-time. If you are singing well and you are doing the work and you have a roof over your head that you can actually support and pay, that's what matters. It's okay to be multifaceted. It's okay to not sing in an A house if that's not where the Lord intended for you to be. Some of us will not sing at an A house, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Because everybody needs opera.
It.
Everybody needs opera in their life. So whether it's your local company,
whether it's an outreach program, the goal is to be singing. It's a voice performance degree. It did not say a voice performance degree in an A house.
And as long as somebody is paying you for this voice, you're an artist. Point blank, period. You're an artist. Someone's handing you a check for this voice that you spent thousands, close to $500,000 in education for, you're an artist.
Y'all, I'm gonna tell you, y'all twins are hitting it. You hear me? You don't have to be at an A house. I'm telling you, I got there by the grace of God, but I wasn't singing at A houses. I was BC and some D's, but because I was singing and I was enjoying my gift that God gave me and giving it, that was my job. And that's the thing. You have to change your perspective of the measure of success for you. I had to change my measure of success. What is success for me? Success was not singing at a house. It's nice. It's icing on the cake. But success is not that for me anymore. So you have to rethink that. I did go to George Mason University, and for my undergrad and majored in music. I also went to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and I got my master's in music. I did do a young artist program, the Domingo K. Fritz in Washington National Opera. And after all of that schooling, and I went into the professional world, I wasn't getting the gigs and the things that I hoped to get. I re-enrolled into an acting school and did straight theater just so that I could get that experience underneath my belt. Because in opera, I feel like, well, let's just say in my school, I feel like they focused more on technique and how to sing, but they didn't really teach people how to perform, because it's not always about the perfect voice. It's really about a great artist and what makes you a great artist. So, but yeah, I definitely did get my degrees in music.
Well, I got my. Oh. It's all right.
I was just gonna say real quickly, don't sleep on these church gigs. The majority of Cherisse and I's money, literally in singing, comes from the SDA church, and we are not even SDA. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be SDA or anything like that, but they will pay. So stop looking at church artists. They pay like actual musician people who went to school to gain the knowledge, because they want their congregation to have the best music. Like when we filed our taxes last year, I couldn't believe the amount of money we made just from church gigs. So stop sleeping on these church gigs. I'm not saying just only take church gigs, but there is money there. It is a way to say that you are still singing because you are still an artist.
And besides your bread and butter.
Yes, amen.
Yes, before you go, yes, that church gig is the truth. That's how I keep my chops up. Even through COVID, I got church gigs. Okay, keep your chops up. Sorry, Michael.
It's all right. No, it's fine. It's fine. Well, for me, like I just went to I didn't go to like a musical theater or opera school per se. I went to the school, an actual institute, Art Institute of Philadelphia, and I learned it was a program in which each semester was a cumulative about like 11 weeks, and for me, I felt like it was very, very difficult to learn clothing construction in 11 weeks. So I realized that after school, a lot of and I'm sure you ladies can kind of attest to that. That most of my schooling kind of came after I left, and I was actually in the real world, and it was only till then was when I honestly found my true calling and my true I'm gonna say like like you ladies would say like my voice. For me, I after when I got out of college, it wasn't until I was able to kind of get into my gist of what exactly that I like, luxury evening wear and things of that nature. So it wasn't until I got out of college until I pinpointed that one. But it was just for me, kind of like to jump into another thing that you ladies were talking about. It was difficult, and one of the reasons for why I went into an institute was because of the fact that I wanted to kind of be a big fish in a small pond. I wanted to go into an institute, to a school where it wasn't too difficult to be noticed in a school, in a school like the Art Institute. I was able to kind of get the knowledge that I was able to get at the school, and I was able to get that one-on-one one-on-one feedback from a professor and the instructors in the school. So those are things that I loved about going into an institute. A lot of people tend to think that going into, not to say college is not the good thing, but for me, I felt that it was going to be easier for me to be able to kind of spread my wings a little more and be more of a unique designer in a smaller institution than to go into a place like FIT, where you're a small fish in a big pond. You have a lot of people who want to be fashion designers, and it's very, very difficult. It would be difficult to create a name for yourself. So it worked, and from that, I gained a 3-year, 5-year internship at Oscar de la Renta, and learned so much more from doing it that way. So yeah, those are things as far as like my education that I really loved about it.
Yes. Thank y'all this was so great. Like, I love the energy. I love the information. Like, thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you for sharing with us. Please tell us where we can find you really quick. And if you have any final remarks, I would love for you to share them. But yes, tell us where you can find you and drop it in the chat as well.
Okay.
You can find me at Aundi Marie Moore on Instagram. You can also find me at Aundi Marie Moore on Facebook, or Aundi Marie Moore Barnett, because that's my married name, on Facebook as well. I do both. Instagram and Facebook are both my playing fields. And my website is www.aundimariemore.com. But feel free to ask me any kind of questions, messenger. I tend to get back with people at least within a day.
So you can find us on Instagram at the Soprano Twins or the Sparkle Twins. And we're both on Facebook and very active on Facebook. So Cherisse Williams and Cherissia Williams.
Also, if you check your digital magazine packets, anybody that's attending today's conference will receive 10% off of anything on our Sparkle Twins shop. And we also will be Renee will be sending an email with a PDF that we put together of like how to start a business, some resources that we thought would be useful.
Okay, so well, first I want to kind of leave with like just a little remark as far as just for those who are interested in looking and trying to create, particularly find their look. I found that particular frame of just finding a look from a Terrence McNally play called Masterclass, and it was based off. I don't know if you heard it. It was based off of the masterclasses of Maria Callas at Juilliard. I mean, originally it was from Leontine Price, but it was another thing. But just finding your look, like knowing exactly what you want to look like when you're on that stage, knowing you, like, at the end of the day, you're on stage with an orchestra who is just in all black, and you are up there singing the opera and singing the aria. You want them to be, you want people to remember you from the moment you get on stage to the moment you leave. So just kind of creating that look and kind of creating something that would just help you to kind of push yourself as an opera singer, because a lot of people, right now you got to treat yourself as individual celebrities. You're celebrities in your own, in your own right. So just creating that look and kind of pushing forward with that is one thing that is really important. Also, just knowing your body as well. I wanted to tell a lot of opera singers and clientele who come in that realm of getting something custom made, just knowing their body, knowing, taking every month, taking your measurements, you know what I mean, knowing exactly what you are from head to toe, because it helps a lot of designers, and it also helps the companies that you're getting fit for costumes with and things of that nature. I'm just knowing that. But a way you can find me on Instagram at, I have two. It's Michael Thomas Originals, and then there's Original MT. And then if you want to find me on Facebook, you can find me on Facebook through just Michael Thomas, simply. And you can just send me message, send me questions, and just, if you want to kind of go more in depth with just like finding your look and just trying to create a particular, like, just help with your image specifically. I'm all for it. You can ask Karen Slack; she can kind of attest to that. Her and I do a lot of work together, and I look forward to possibly working with each and every one of you ladies in the near future.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you. Make sure you put your information in the chat. Thank you. We're getting ready for our next session. Yeah, drop it.